There are people who come into your life sometimes to be there for a season. They weren't meant to be there always. Sometimes we find ourselves hooked up with people that we think are there for a lifetime, but they're only supposed to be there for a season. There are people who come into your life like boosters for a rocket. If you ever watched a rocket go into space, the boosters fall off when it reaches a certain altitude. Some people are not equipped to handle the altitudes that you're going to, so don't be upset and cry when they fall off. Actually, they're not bad people, they just couldn't go the altitude that you're going. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If they're already showing you their true colors, believe them and let them go. And don't try to convince yourself that maybe someday they will change. Some people never change. They just become more of who they already are. Maybe the person you love deeply left you, or might have cheated on you. There could be any reason, and you want that person to still stay in your life. Trust me, you're doing it all wrong. You need to let them go, especially if you've already done anything you could do and said anything you could say, and that person still wants to go. Here's the single most important thing you can do now to improve your life. Let them go. Do you know what's bringing you down when you're trying to get up? It's the burden of your past. The burden of those people who have just made your life miserable, but you're still ready to let them go. Sometimes people don't hear you, no matter how loud, truthful, and deep you speak. If you're facing this situation, then let them go and realize that these people are your past. So let them be in the past. They're not part of your destiny or your future. When you don't leave the person and walk away, it means that you're giving all the power away and showing others that your whole life is dependent on someone who's happy without you. Do you know that some people waste half of their lives or even more to convince others to love them? Some people, on the other hand, try to take revenge. Let me tell you what's even better. It's when you don't take any revenge and forget everything. It is actually moving on with your life. It's showing them that life is much better after they're gone. Life is meant to be experienced. Sometimes you get a good experience, and sometimes you get a bad one. At the same time, you are also surrounded by the good people and the toxic ones. It happens many times in our lives that we end up falling in love with those toxic people and doing everything for them, but they still leave us without even thinking about us and thinking about how hard it will be for us to live our lives without them. I know that you're going through the same situation and you're feeling so lonely, depressed, and thinking that you have nothing left that can make you happy. You know hard times come in everybody's life. Take the example of a tree in the autumn season. The leaves fall from it, but it's not the end of its life. It's actually the beginning of a new life. You don't have to worry about those people that God has removed from your life, because He can see those things which you didn't. He heard the discussion that you didn't. So why are you worried? If a person has walked away, it's not an accident. If a person has left you, it's not an accident. If you tried to make things work and it wouldn't work, it's still not an accident. Accept it as a will of God. If you're still going backwards with the same toxic people who are responsible for bringing the tears to your eyes, then you will remain stuck in the same situation and your life will never move forward. There is no point in being confused and unhappy with those people. What is meant for you will come to you. So believe it. One thing you should keep in mind for the rest of your life is if a person leaves you easily, he or she was never really meant for you. Every moment of adversity leaves two things behind: a blessing and a lesson. Sometimes you have to get rid of a person in order for God to give you a person that you really need in life. All you have to do is trust God. Say these words to yourself every morning: I am whole, I am enough, and I am perfect as I was created. I am whole, I am enough, and I am perfect as I was created. And I came from a source that not only determined the shape of my eye and my body and the color of my skin, but I came from a source that had a great idea about who I should be as well. Life always mirrors back to us the feelings we have inside. The most important relationship you have is the relationship with yourself. Too many people don't like who they are. They focus on their faults and weaknesses. They wish they were different, wish they were taller, had a better personality, instead of accepting themselves as a masterpiece made in the image of God. They're critical towards themselves, and they wonder why they're not happy and why they don't have good relationships. It's because they don't like themselves. If you don't get along with yourself, you're not going to get along with other people. The best thing you can do for your family and those who are around you is be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be merciful to yourself. And above all, be loving to yourself. You're good to others. Why aren't you good to yourself? You compliment your coworker, but when was the last time you complimented yourself? That's not being selfish. That's loving yourself. Too many people go through life against themselves, feeling wrong on the inside. I heard someone say, "I discovered the enemy. It was me." Are you your enemy? Are you defeating yourself, limiting your dreams and sabotaging your relationships, all because you don't like yourself? You have enough people and circumstances against you, so don't be against yourself also. When you wake up in the morning, don't lie in bed and think of everything wrong with you. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with you, start focusing on what's right with you. You may have weaknesses, you've made mistakes, we all have, but there's a lot more right with you than there is wrong with you. Dwelling on the negative and beating yourself up for past mistakes doesn't move you forward. The better you feel about yourself, the more you like yourself and the further you'll go. You can't give away what you don't have. If you're hard on yourself, you'll be hard on others. If you don't forgive yourself, you won't forgive others. When you love yourself, then you can love others. When you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others. Everything starts with you.
You can't be passive and indifferent. You have to have a holy determination. It's more than just your will.
However, when you get into a new comfort zone, it will be easier for you to practice the habit of self-discipline than it would be in the past for you to take the shortcut.
Sometimes the obstacles in front of you seem like they're too big and it's easier just to lay down. But you know what I remembered? I remember when my dad used to look at me when the kid and said, "Listen, Nathan, life is never going to give you anything, but if you make it and if you build it, nobody can take it from you."
What we're doing and we enjoy. What we're doing and passion energizes. That's a person of passion, I always think. I realize that I believe God spoke the word about being even more careful than ever about complaining. I don't consider myself to be a big complainer. Now I used to be that God just kept chipping away at it and chipping away at it and chipping away at it, and every time I started to get maybe a little bit loose and murmuring a little bit more.
It's a fire on the inside, a knowing that it's supposed to be yours. When everything says it's not going to happen, instead of getting discouraged, you kick in to a new gear. Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level. Many of the difficulties we face, the delays, the times it's not fair, that's simply a test. God is seeing how bad do you want it. This is what weeds people out. If you're overcome by problems, you let circumstances push you down, people talk you out of it, you're not going to have the strength or the courage to sustain where God is taking you.
Goethe, the German philosopher, once said that everything is hard before it's easy. Everything is hard before it's easy. So developing the habit of self-discipline is hard. And be patient with yourself, because you slip back all the time. All your life, you'll be slipping back. All your life, you have to fight this battle. You never get it to the point where it's locked in forever. Every morning you get up and that alarm goes off and you say, do I sleep a little longer or do I get up? Every time you look at a list of things to do, you say, do I start with the most important thing? As they say, do the worst first. Or do I do something that's fun and talk to a friend or make a phone call? You've got to fight this battle every single day. But every time you fight and win, you feel better about yourself.
You have to be like David. Don't have a weak mentality, have a warrior mentality. You have to be more determined than the opposition. If you give up every time things don't go your way, you didn't want it bad enough. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am in this for the long haul. I know what God has spoken to me. I will get well. I will accomplish my dream. I will meet the right person. You're not moved by what's not working out, by how long it's taking, or by who's not for you. You know who is for you.
And we can choose to surrender, or we can choose to take a stand and fight. And there are a lot of people who fight who are still here. There are people who fight and who go. But at least they go out fighting. They didn't just surrender. They didn't just throw in the towel on themselves. And I'm saying that there is something in us.
It only takes about 21 days, they say, to develop a new habit. So you can lock in the foundation of the habit simply by practicing self-discipline every single day without exception for 21 days. Now, some years ago, a businessman named Herbert Gray did a long-time study, it was kind of his project, to find out what he called the common denominator of success. What would be the common denominator of success? And he spent 11 years studying the literature, interviewing people, reflecting on it, and he finally wrote a little pamphlet. And the pamphlet has been handed around for years and years, and you don't need to get it because I'll tell you what's in it. He said the common denominator of success was quite simple. He said, successful people, he found, make a habit of doing what unsuccessful people don't like to do. And of course the logical question is, well, what is it that unsuccessful people don't like to do? Well, it turned out to be the same thing that successful people don't like to do either, but they do it anyway because they recognize that that's the price of success.
The times are tough for all of us, but we got to keep pushing forward. We must continue to fight the good fight. Do not feel that it's over. You've got a lot more work to do. Leave all of the distractions alone. Leave the naysayers alone. Because no matter how you look at it, those people that you feel that are against you, use it to your advantage. Let it be your fire. Let it be the ammunition. You need to show them all that you've got something that they have never seen before.
Because hard work and tenacity and refusing to quit and chasing your dream, you'll get there, I promise you. Maybe you don't hit the stars, but you'll land on the moon. You don't give up and you go after it, and you stop caring about the opinions of people around you. Stop blaming everybody from your hurts. Take ownership of your life. Take off your mask. Don't feed the bear. Make good choices. Be a best friend. Encourage somebody. Be a voice of hope and inspiration. This is your moment.
Always remember this. Your past never has to be bigger than your future. Maybe we made some mistakes. Maybe we did some things that we're not proud of, but the great thing is that people can change.
Like before high school and in high school, to be in Ivy League schools and to get 4.0, they're not having any fun and they're not experiencing life and they don't have any hope and their parents are all on pills and they're just killing themselves. For some people out there that aren't feeling good, you get over that struggle, you feel better. It sounds so simplistic, but I swear by it. I've felt shitty myself and then forced myself to work out, and after I get out of there, I'm like, it's hard for people to break momentum too. Momentum that's good momentum or momentum that's bad momentum. When I get on a good groove of working out all the time, I feel it. Like after I'm done working out, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get in there again. I can't wait to work out again. That's the good momentum. But then there's that bad momentum, like you get injured or something like that and you can't do anything for a couple of weeks, and then to try to get that kickstart that motor up again.
You may fall a few times, you may slip a few times, but that doesn't mean you quit. That doesn't mean you give up. That means you must find a way, and you must make a win. You got to continue to dig deeper than you ever did in your life. Enough is enough. Enough with the excuses, enough for being complacent, enough for giving up. This is the time to recognize your purpose. This is the time for you to recognize your truth and make the most of your life. And if you're not willing to do that, then nothing's going to happen for you. Nothing is going to give you that true opportunity to be the best of yourself. This is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is a reality check. Ask yourself, how far have you gone? How much have you given up yourself? Why do you wake up every morning with the same story? Why do you wake up every morning saying the same thing over and over again? Why do you feel you need that cup of coffee to start your day? Why do you feel you need to depend on your alarm clock to get up? All you got to do is just get up. All you got to do is recognize exactly what it is that you need to do in your life now. This is the time you need to make up. This is the time you need to realize this. It's the time you need to do the best that you can and give 110% of everything you got. How many hours do you put into your craft? How much work are you putting into your ideas? How many times have you taken so many breaks that it pushed you back instead of pushing you forward? How much suffering have you put into your craft? How much suffering are you willing to endure for success?
It's hard to get momentum. There's a lot of people that are eating shit food, and then by the end of the day, your body's in a crisis. Your body's just processing all this bullshit. And if you're eating a big, bullshit lunch filled with nonsense, your body's got to process all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to lose your willpower. So when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock rolls around, you're going to be tired. But if you have a healthy lunch and you're properly fueled, and then you also have positive people in your life, everyone's motivated, by the end of the day, you're going to feel good. Just force yourself to do it. And if you feel like shit because you ate lunch, then your lunch was, filled with bullshit, well then, hey dummy, don't eat shitty lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow try a nice salad. Try a salad with some salmon and see how you feel then. You're like, hey, I feel way better today at 6 o'clock. Duh. Now your decision making will be better. People don't understand how significant it is. All these little decisions, that's the path for the rest of your existence on earth.
If you had a goal you chased, that goal you accomplished, some things you would get. This boost of confidence you get, this boost of self-esteem, whatever it is that you're going to, maybe you're drawing comic books, maybe you're into it. But making pottery or sculptures, or but find whatever that is and pursue that. Nothing can resist a human will that will stake its existence on its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die.
Something within me, there's something that's driven me on for 30 years, says no. There are some big surprises coming.
A lot of people, they're scared of themselves. They're scared of the power that they've got. Way back when the Occupy movement was happening and they occupied Wall Street and they didn't know what they wanted. They just knew they didn't want what we have. We just want something different. You say, well, what's your goal? And they go, we don't know.
Human revolution is the term used by Second Soka Gakkai President Jose Toda to describe a fundamental process of inner transformation, whereby we break through the shackles of our lesser self, bound by self-concern and the ego, growing in altruism toward a greater self capable of caring and taking action for the sake of others, ultimately all humanity.
We just want all this to go away. And I used to say then, you don't need to occupy Wall Street because we human beings already occupy the entire earth, but we don't occupy ourselves. Non-compliance, simply getting back on with your life is how to get through this. We're not going to do what you tell us. We're going to go and do what we want to do. If everybody applied that to their own lives and supported the people around them in doing that, we'd change the world in a day. This whole thing that's happened has been due to our compliance. Like when you look at the people locked down in Shanghai, 26 million people, 3,000 or 4,000 people have told them to lock down. 3,000 or 4,000 people are in control of 26 million. I think I see a way out.
And this cult is very vulnerable to people awakening to it because its biggest source of power is, apart from human power being handed to it, is the fact that people aren't aware that it exists. But more and more people are becoming aware. But there's this transition that needs to take place where people cross the road. And that doesn't mean there has to be a violent revolution. There has to be a revolution of perception, because from that, everything else comes. We live within a field of potentiality, a field of energy, vibration, which is all possibility.
As Daisaku Aikida explains, there are all sorts of revolutions. Political revolutions, economic revolutions, industrial revolutions, scientific revolutions, artistic revolutions. But no matter what one changes, the world will never get any better as long as people themselves remain selfish and lacking in compassion. In that respect, human revolution is the most fundamental of all revolutions, and at the same time, the most necessary revolution for humankind.
If all of these people simply said no and got on with their lives, and if we did that right around the world, that's the momentum that we need. You can see the lies now. You can see the lies. The whole thing is crumbling. The whole narrative is crumbling. None of it makes any sense. So when people can see the lie for what it is and realize that everything's a lie and just become human again, that's the key to the whole thing. You know, we've got to stop externalizing it. When we see these trucker blockades, when we see these things, realize that we can do this ourselves. You can do this without even leaving your home. You know, the best protest that you have is to be a real human being. That's the best thing you can do. Be a real human being, be supportive of your own life, of your own family and of the people around you, and just get on with your life and make things work. I've always said it's a lot easier to get forgiveness than permission. So when you see something that needs doing, just go and do it. That's the way out of this. It really is. Why do people think they have rulers? Why do people think they need to be told when they can be free and when they can't be free and when they can go to the store and when they can do this and when they can do that? What is wrong with people?
For, as Daisaku Ikeda writes, a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of a nation, and further, will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. Taking responsibility for transforming our own lives is the first step toward creating a human society based on compassion and respect for the dignity of all people's lives.
Everything that exists in this reality is a frequency. Every thought is a frequency. Every emotion is a frequency. And so if you believe that you are little me and you have no power, then that frequency band that is generated by that perception of self will interact with the field, and you will create a feedback loop that will appear to you to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're little me, you have no power, you are experiencing a life of little me, I have no power. Not because it's true, but because you believe it is. And when you open your heart, you open your mind, and you re-self-identify from I am are labels to I am all that is, has been, and ever can be, having a brief experience.
The question of how to change in a positive direction is one which has spawned countless theories, religions, and publishing empires. Certainly, self-discipline and effort can enable us to make positive change, for example, by starting to exercise regularly. But the willpower required is often hard to maintain. Our self-control may slip at a crucial moment because we have not addressed the underlying inner causes of our behavior.
You know, we've got to get over this hump, and that's what this is. If people can look at it through the right eyes, they can see how they've been controlled into this and how simple it would be to just do something else. The problem is that people want someone like me or someone like you to come along and say, I've got the solution. Here's my plan. Here's my draft. You all follow these directions and then we'll get to here. Well, how are you just looking for another ruler, another person to come and tell you what to do and you know, hope that when it gets there, you'll just be able to get on with your lives and buy the same magazines and do the same stuff that you were doing before, which wasn't freedom. You know, we've got an opportunity for freedom here. We've got an opportunity to rediscover what it means to be human here. And that's what I see coming out of this. I see a really, really positive future coming out of all this because, I mean, there's no going back to what we were, and there's no going back to having any faith in these politicians or this system or the medical industry or the media or any of it anymore.
Then your band of frequency explodes both in its breadth and scale and in its frequency, and you start interacting with the field of possibility and probability at that level. And this is why when people go through this awakening process, they start to find that amazing synchronicities start to happen in their life that didn't happen before. Coincidences and bits of luck and things just happening when you need them, or meeting people in strange circumstances. My God, fancy seeing you here. And people look back and they think, well, this wasn't happening before. No, because you were interacting with a narrow band of frequency with the field of possibility, and that's what you were experiencing. Now suddenly you started to awaken. You're interacting with the field in a completely different way, more expanded way, and now things that you can manifest in that feedback loop, fine detail, bits of luck, things happening just when you need them.
Human revolution is the work of transforming our lives at the very core. It involves identifying and challenging those things which inhibit the full expression of our positive potential and humanity. Nature in Buddhism is based on belief in a pure, positive, and enlightened condition of life which exists equally within all people. This life state of Buddhahood is characterized by the qualities of compassion, wisdom, and courage, which enable us to create something of value from any situation. When we look beyond our personal concerns and take action for the sake of others, this process is strengthened and accelerated. An experience which previously seemed like an unjust burden can become the key to finding the purpose of our lives, as we learn how to help others struggling in a similar situation. This individual process of human revolution is the very key to sparking change on a global scale.
You have to practice who you want to be. You know, you don't wake up one morning and you're suddenly who you think you want to be. You have to put some energy into it. So if you want to be an honest person, you have to be an honest person every day, even starting at 3 and 4 and 5, right? If you're going to be a hard worker, hard work doesn't just appear. You have to practice hard work. You have to practice effort. And I also encourage them and try to help them understand that good things don't come easy. With that effort, that's where you grow. That's where growth is. Some of the best times in my life when I've grown, it's when I've done something hard, when I've overcome a fear. You don't realize that when you're doing it, but when you come out on the other side, you realize, wow, I've really stepped up.
This is what I tell my daughters every day. Do not be afraid to fail, because that oftentimes is the thing that keeps us as women and girls back, because we think we have to be right. We think we have to be perfect. We think that we can't stumble. And the only way you succeed in life, the only way you learn, is by failing. It's not the failure, it's what you do after you fail. Do you let it eat you up? Do you quit? Do you give up? Or do you let it bolster you? Does it serve as the challenge in your mind to do more, to take some risks?
Life's not easy. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them. Number 2, I love it. Unbelievable is the stupidest word in the dictionary. Should never come out of our mouths. Think about it. To say, oh wow, what an unbelievable play. It was an unbelievable book, an unbelievable film, an unbelievable act of courage. Really? It may be spectacular, it may be phenomenal, most excellent or outstanding, but unbelievable? Give others and yourself more credit. It just happened. You witnessed it. You just did it. Believe it. What about the other side of unbelievable? That side when we humans underperform or act out of our best character. For instance, man flies a suicide jet into the World Trade Center. Millions die from diseases every day that we have cures for. Bob the Builder swears that he's going to have your house built by Thanksgiving, and you can't move in until Christmas the next year. Our best friends lie to us, and we lie to ourselves all the time. Unbelievable? I don't think so. Again, it just happens, and it happens every day. Nothing that we Homo sapien earthlings do is unbelievable. And if there's one thing you can depend on people being, it's people. So we shouldn't be surprised. We, us, are the trickiest mammals walking the planet. I'm not worried about the monkeys. I'm worried about you and me. So acknowledge the acts of greatness as real, and do not be naive about mankind's capacity for evil, nor be in denial of our own shortcomings. Happiness is an emotional response to an outcome.
Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living. Fail big." That's right. Fail big. Today's the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. There's an old IQ test was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals.
There are winners, there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they've done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is.
When I was poor, everywhere I went, flip the price tag on. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? I was constantly negotiating the price for everything in my life. You do that when you come from a place of scarcity, of being poor.
And as Martin Luther King said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. You've just got to believe that you can learn.
How many of us can possess the eagle attitude? What makes an eagle so magnificent? Is it the courage? Is it the demeanor? Is it the strength? Is it the willpower?
He told the guy, he said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
Successful people and wealthy people have a subtle distinction. They don't look at price, they look at worth. Is this worth it? If you're constantly looking at the price tag, you'll eventually relent. You'll eventually give in. Stop negotiating the price. It's a freeing experience to totally commit. When you totally commit to a relationship, to a business, to your fitness, to your faith, it's a freeing, powerful, it's almost like removing kryptonite from your life when you totally commit. Can you do that? The people around you always say, it's costing too much. It's costing too much. And you go, maybe it's costing too much. You got to start going, no, it's worth it. It's not the price, it's the worth. It's a subtle distinction in your life. Are you with me on that?
So identity is the governor on our lives. It's the invisible force that no one understands. And once they do understand and get a hold of it, their life can change. So not only if you don't get a hold of this, will these outward conditions of your life keep being exactly the same, but you could behave differently. You could do all the working out. You could be thinking great thoughts, but you are going to get out of your life.
You don't have to believe that you're already capable of doing what you want. You don't have to believe that you can already build that thing that you dream. You don't have to believe that you already are extraordinary. You simply have to believe that if you take that first step, you put yourself on a journey not of execution, you put yourself on a journey of learning so that you can execute. And that, when you understand that difference, that's when you really will be on that path to greatness. And that is the thing that I want for everybody listening to this. Please understand, the only thing you need to know is that you have to take the first step. Whatever the vision is that you have for your life, you absolutely can make it come true. And the process is very simple. The process is about learning. The process is about growing and getting better. It's about recognizing what you're not good at. It's about recognizing what you have to learn. It's about taking that first step on faith.
You're going to be the most powerful force in the world, I think, is to be consistent with the concepts, ideas, and worth that you hold for yourself. You will get that out of your life, what you will tolerate. Okay, the deeper part of that is identity. And so identity is very much like a thermostat sitting on a wall, right? This is important. Once that temperature is set at a certain degree, everything in the world externally can hit it, and you will find a way to get that temperature. So even in this house, let's say it's set at 80 degrees. If we opened up all the doors and cold air, just the worst things in life, the blizzard of life came in, the thermostat will kick the heater on and it will regulate this room back to 80 degrees. The reverse is also true. It's a super hot day. Great things are happening in your life. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. If you're at 80 degrees, that internal thermostat will find a way over a window of time to cool your life right back down to 80 degrees again. So the key, the secret key, is to be able to shift that identity. 90, 100, 120. So some of the ways, strategies to do that are very simple. One is let's just say financially, you're a 200 degreer and I'm an 80 degreer. If I'm in your proximity over and over and over and over again, you will heat my identity up somewhere in between mine and yours to 150 degrees. Same in fitness, same in everything.
On faith that you can get better, not on faith that you're great. On faith that you can become the greatest of all time. And once you have that faith, once you know that simply being a human being puts you in this rare category of creature that can get better through pressure, through pain, through difficulty, through failure, those are the things that are going to be the building blocks of your success. But in order to begin on that road, in order to have your first glorious failure, you must first take that first step. So please, don't waste your time being motivated or inspired. Spend every second of your time moving forward. That's how you're going to get where you want to go.
As Daniel Pink said, people fail to achieve mastery not because they aren't talented,
but because they aren't disciplined.
To be able to soar as high as we can. To be able to look down at all of the opportunities and being able to attack when they present themselves. To know that you can do the impossible. Not just surviving, but living. Knowing how to hunt. To be brave. You're not depending on anybody, but you're being independent, like the eagle. You got to get up. You got to fly. You got to soar. You got to be that eagle.
There are some things in life that you'll never experience, you'll never receive, that you will never obtain until you believe. Believe in you and believe in your dreams. So dream big and dream beyond your wildest imagination.
Number one, I want to make sure you catch it. Number one, you have to believe that it can be you, right? And I'm not talking to everybody in the room. Some of y'all, you got enough confidence for me and you good. But somebody in the room, you don't have that type of confidence. I need to give me a quick favor. I need, for those of you who are like, E.T., tonight is my night. When I walk out of here, I'm going to be different. How many of you be honest in the room? Raise your hand. E.T., I'm going to be honest. When I hear no, sometimes it breaks my spirit. When my mom doesn't believe, when my dad doesn't believe, or my girlfriend doesn't believe, or my friends don't believe, or when they shut the door, they slam the door in my face without even giving me an opportunity. I'll be honest, E.T., sometimes when I walk away from that door, I get a little discouraged. Raise your hand for me, be honest. Raise your hand. Just look at that eagle. It's truly magnificent. You never see an eagle complaining. You never see an eagle whining and worrying about how it's going to get its meal. I mean, let's just think about it. An eagle is flying, but an eagle must eat. It has to eat to survive or live. Well, let's think about that for a moment. Do you think what the eagle is hunting is going to just sit there and wait to be eaten? Because the thing about success, you got to work for it. It's not supposed to be given. It's not going to just sit around. The eagle knows what it must do. Question is, do you know what you got to do?
What I do is, unique in that I study people all the time because I know that I deal with salespeople or people who are in the sales industry. I'm constantly, studying that genre, if you will, regularly. I have a keen sense of awareness. And so I'm constantly asking myself questions in my mind. What would work? What would work? What's going on in the economy? What's the climate? What's going on? What are people dealing with? So just asking myself a bunch of questions. My mother is there. What are mothers going to do with the sales industry? What is a father, who's trying to put in 60 hours a week, but at the same time trying to have a healthy relationship, with his children, his family. What does he need to hear?
What you're going to do is going to take you to a whole level because this company has some great stuff in store for you, but you cannot get it if somebody says no and you take no the wrong way. Listen to me. Every no you get, don't shun the no. Every no, you take the no. You take the no and you recycle it.